Oh, this is a movie my kids had me hooked on. I remember now. My kids had me hooked on this Beetlejuice, I think it's called. I think it's called Beetlejuice. There he goes.
Are you a ghost too?
And I had went to the library in Westfield to rent movies, like almost every day, every 2 days. Oh. Every 2 or 3 days we would go, or I would be standing at the bus stop when they were coming home from school, or I would go get the movies because by the bus stop was the library, which rented the movies, and the Del Padres was right there on the same block. And I'm so busy looking, yeah, that's Beetlejuice. So they had movies. The movies at the library, of course, were free, but at Del Padre was right there. And I had rented a television set from them, a floor model, for me and the kids to watch in the living room together. Meanwhile, they had their own TVs in the back room. I did get a color TV for that room. Not all at once, some stuff come a little at a time. Black and white TV first, that was just for the Mario game, the big black and white. But in the living room, we had the floor model I got from Del Padres because I had left furniture and everything at the other apartment in Springfield on Pomona Street. And the floor model that I had gotten when my daughter was 3 years old, I had gotten a floor model. It had a stereo in it. Oh, I loved it. And it had speakers on both sides of the 25-inch TV, big, wide ones. And when you open the top, there was a record player and a radio. I loved it so much. It took me 2 years to pay for that. You know how it is when you get it from rent place. You rent to own. Back then it was Del Padre. So I was a good customer, but when we got to Pomona Street, I had it for like 5 or 6 years. I don't know how long I had it. I had it for a really long time. And it, I guess from moving a couple of times, too many, who knows, maybe somebody dropped it, I didn't notice, who knows. But maybe a cup of water spilled in it a couple of times. I remember I was in my 20s. Eventually the TV gave out. So I got this little 12-inch black and white. And when it was time for us to move back to Westfield, because we only stayed on Pomona Street for 9 months. We only stayed on Ashley Street for 9 months, exactly. Not a full year, because I didn't like it there, and I called. That's when Section 8 used to be good, and you could order just house, period, just the housing code authorities. You can just call them and tell them that you were upset with your situation, and it was not safe there. You don't have to have kids or not. I didn't never even mention the kids or use that scenario. I just told them it's not safe in this neighborhood, and I'm ready to go. It's not safe, because then I have to become unsafe. Also, I have to become a monster to protect me and my kids. And I had no fear. Lori D is here. I had no fear. Zero. Zero fear. I mean, zero. That's why to this day my kids be like, if I say I'm scared, they don't believe it. They don't believe me at all. They're like, I don't know her. That's not the point. The point is that when it gets like that, I leave. I don't just sit there and be like, well, this is how it is and this is life. No. No, I will leave. So I left the furniture there that I had bought there from Westfield. The furniture, living room set I had bought in Westfield, brought it to Ashley Street. And I left it there because I can't carry it on my back. And when you pay $25 to somebody to just put whatever they can in their little truck or car, literally, that's all you're going to take is whatever you can take in 2 trips, and actually the kids take up space, so You know, of course, I always made sure I took the kids' bed. That's number one, should always be there is the bed. Okay? Number one for the kids. Not my bed, theirs first. But now I don't have kids, so now it's me first. Not the bed, not the living room set, not nothing. But my social security card and my ID. That's all, bottom line. I haven't done that for many, many years. It took all of this time since since I resurrected, and my brain had to catch up back to what I've been before, the person I've been, and actually the situation of the danger. That girl I was before would have left the same year. When I got there, it wasn't like that. When I got in that building, I was that girl. And I had a plan. But it fell through the floor. But I'm going to try it once more. And I'm glad I caught up back to Lori D, but better, more evolved. Straight evolved and full of spiritual power. So much power. Well, you see my profile picture. Check it out and put it on Google Maps. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. And I'm going to leave that subject away. So here we go. Beetlejuice, the commercial takes forever. So now, and we used to go, and sometimes they didn't know I went and got movies. Sometimes I would be standing downtown right there by the library, and they came from school a certain way, but they could see me if I was over there, if they were looking, if they, because up the street, it was like, you could look from the library down the street, you could kind of see where our house was, where the turn, and that main little street, it would go over to this little corner store we all used to go to, me and my kids, one at a time or together. In their school, if you walk like one more block, it was their school, which was near going to the Big Y over at the, in Westfield, in the Westfield Center. Yeah, I got less words, but I ain't stupid. Yup. Yes, sir. I have caught up real good, especially since, I had a really good friend that I talk to, a couple of good friends now, I can say, that caught me up real fast. Everyone else that already knew me well, they didn't catch me up because, see, they were still looking for the girl I used to be without understanding that what I told them, what happened to me, was real. Really real, that I really did, fall from the sky. I don't want to talk about it right now. It's not, and I busted my head and whatever. My brain was bleeding for months, but those people were still expecting me to be, and I had no words, no explanation to explain it. I just kept saying, I fell from the sky. I fell from the sky, but I didn't explain about the bleeding of the brain, whatever. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, because they just couldn't believe it. They were still just thinking I was the girl I was before. They just kept believing that and just thinking I was purposely. That's sad. I don't want to think about that right now. I don't want to think about it. So anyhow, my kids and I, this is bringing back memories for me from like the girl I was before, the brain bleeding. And my kids, they have got me hooked on this movie. And, most of the time I don't like reruns and stuff like that. And they could watch a couple of things, reruns. I didn't care because it was in the living room where the VCR was. And, that's when it was just VCR. And the VCR was built into the TV or whatever I had got from Del Padre. So I utilized that. And, also we recorded some stuff, like we would get cable on the holidays and record stuff. But see, this is one of the movies we watched when I would turn the cable off intentionally. Not because I couldn't afford it, but because I felt like, I could do something else with that money. And it ain't the holidays. And that's what I would do. And I'd shut it down so we could do something else with the money. Whatever it was. Walk to the park and have extra snacks. Snacks cost money too. Okay? Because, of course, if we had cable, we had less snacks or whatever it was. And I like snacks. I don't know about nobody else. But this is a good movie right here. And it's been on like twice this week. And I think this week and last week or something, I came across it. Wasn't looking for it. It's the Sci-Fi Channel, I think, or something. I'm not sure. I think it is. No, Harry Potter's on Sci-Fi. Either way, I love watching this with my kids so much. This was a good one. That was before that damn ancestry bullshit. I don't like that ancestry. It's making me, I'm taking all them kids to the hospital, to the Bay State, and I want full DNA, and I mean it. But I still love them for all these years right here.